One thing that goes unnoticed by many people I've seen commenting on some of my videos is about how I tend to put myself in advantageous positions, because most of the times I do make sure that I'm in a good position before I take my first shot. And I notice this more in my shorts, where I see comments like, "Will my enemies shoot back?" And I always find it interesting that the times that I see these comments tend to be on clips where I kill some of the top Ruby stacks or even some pro teams, whether it be a 1v3 or me and my team just winning the fight. And it got me realizing that so many people don't really understand about how to put themselves in a big advantage. It ties into people really struggling with defending cashouts because they don't realize the time that they should attack, when they should retreat, or even where to hold a cashout from. So today I'm going to break down some strategies that help you defend cashouts a little bit easier, and more than likely lead to you getting some of these very easy 1v3 clips that you might see in some of my shorts. So let's go through every phase of a cashout, from the initial start of the timer to succeeding, and even the parts of your loadout that help with this aspect. So you just plug the cash box into the cashout station. Your next step should be to gather information about every team. Look at the respawn timers. Do you know how many players are still alive on each team? Was there any enemy near you before inserting the cash box? If you have a threat that is immediate, then you should simply go to a defensive position. Depending how close that threat is, this might be a rooftop or a room that's just beside a cashout, or simply look for your nearest teammate to stand together with them. If you don't have any threats nearby, then you should do what is called cashout manipulation, and this has many forms, so let's break down each class and what it can do when alone. Then we will get into some simple combos. Keep in mind, there are so many forms of cashout manipulation, and I'm going to cover the main ones, but just know there are a lot, and being creative is very important. I will also be covering playing for drop, as it's something you need to prepare during this quote-unquote setup phase of the cashout station. Now, all classes can pick up canisters and objects, and some objects, like chairs, can give the extra momentum to be able to punch right after to get the extra motion to knock over a cashout. Now for light, there is not much, but some good options for knocking over the cashout would be the SH or the M26 Matter. Shotguns are very good at being able to combine with a punch to shove the cashout a little bit further in order to just knock it over. Breach Charge is great for playing drop, and Gravity Vortex is pretty good for playing stall, but it can be used a little bit earlier in order to move the cashout station just a little bit. Not too bad if you need just a little bit of a shove to get it off of a roof. Thermobore can be used to drop a cashout if you prefer holding the station inside a building rather than on a roof. For medium, we have a much more involved process. While Guardian Turret may be a theoretically good defensive setup, Dematerializer is where we get some really good cashout manipulation. Being able to open walls leads to more cases for moving a cashout into a beneficial spot. The two shotguns, the Model and the Cerberus, are also good for knocking over cashouts, like explained before. Breach Drill will also be able to drop the cashout or even open up some of the engagements, but it really isn't the best for most of the setups for the current meta. But mines and traps all can be pretty good for defensive setups, but the real cashout manipulation comes in the form of a jump pad, Goonade, and the Dematerializer, as this combination can be used in multiple ways to fling the cashout really far. Next, we have the Heavy class, which has some of the easiest and best defensive and cashout manipulation setups in its loadout. This is a really big reason why having a Heavy on your team can instantly win you more cashouts, as they do some of these jobs so well and so consistent. Winch being easily the best manipulation tactic in the entire game. You can easily pull a cashout towards you to get a cashout either off a roof, out of a building, or just simply in the open so that you and your team can hold a really good defensive position. And this doesn't really take much more time than just simply pressing a button. Goo Gun is a specialization that's very good for defensive setups and manipulation, but this requires a lot more knowledge than almost anything else, and it offers some of the most elaborate setups for the cashout. The SA-12 is great for knocking over cashouts, as mentioned before. Shotguns just tend to be good for this. The gadgets that seem to be pretty good for stalling are the anti-grav cube for both the manipulation and the stall. Even without winch, you can actually melee the station while it's mid-air to shove it around, but C4 seems to be the most popular for playing drop, and also just getting a little bit of damage if they set up a bunch of goo and dome shields around it. The C4 can basically break those. And mines, of course, again, are a great and simple defensive tactic in order to set up some stalls. Last, we have the Lockbolt Launcher, a pretty solid gadget as it can attach to a Cashout station, shoot the Lockbolt at a canister near the station, then grab the canister and walk the Cashout wherever you need it to be. I find this is best to give it to a light, and then you shoot the canister that they're holding. Usually the goo canister seems to be the more popular option, and then they just dash around with the Cashout. A pretty solid tactic if you need to manipulate the Cashout and you don't use winch. Now let's get into some simple combinations, and I'll let you all discover more on your own. If you are running HML, we can have the heavy shoot a lockbolt at a canister that the light is holding. The light then dashes around in order to move the Cashout. For a bonus, we can place a jump pad if the medium brought it, and then drag the Cashout over it to fling off of. We can also do the reverse of dropping, which would be using an anti-grav cube to bring it up a floor. So with this tactic, we basically use DMAT to open up a ceiling, then we place an anti-grav cube below, lift up the Cashout, then reclose that dematted hole, and then simply start stealing from above. Obviously, you might want to shoot some of the C4s or whatever that might be on it. Typically, if you glitch a C4, then you shoot it after, it should do minimal damage, so you won't have to worry about blowing up a floor that way. And for one more, we will cover a simple winch plus jump pad, the fastest way to get a Cashout from its original location to a new location. The next phase of defending a Cashout is to find a good location to hold, and it will depend on what type of team comp that you are running. If you have a bunch of melees or shotguns and your intention is to have a close range falling team, maybe hide in a room near the Cashout, and the moment you find them, whether it be them running into the room or you find them close to your Cashout, then you're ready with all of your shotguns, melee weapons, or whatever else you bring for that close range engagement. The moment the Cashout is being stolen, this is when you go and chase them down. But you don't want to chase too far in case they have long range. In that case, you can just kite back to another holding place. If you have a winch, you can just pull the Cashout in even deeper into wherever you're holding. Now, if you're a long-range team, let's say you're using the CB01 repeater, maybe Deagles or BFR, and the LH1 and ARN, well, maybe you are best suited for high ground. Try splitting up slightly so you don't get jumped by an entire team and die, but be able to see each other, so if there are any teams that are approaching you, everybody is ready to fight. And you can fight at your preferred range. Maybe one of you guys might be the single target, but everybody else should be able to shoot the enemy team in the back, which really does help you guys win those fights. Alternatively, you can kite, which involves running away from the enemies and forcing them into a bad position. Turn around when they split up. Let's say you guys are just kiting down a hallway and you notice the light gets a little bit crazy and just dashes into you. Waste all 3 dashes, all 3 of you turn around, kill him. Now you can push the fight as a 3v2. That's kind of the intention around kiting. But make sure that you can turn back and you go to point in case the enemies try to steal. Do not kite too far away from your point, and make sure that you have vision of it. The important thing is to try to not take close range fights until you get 1 or 2 of the enemies down, because if you're ranged, you're going to obviously succeed at range versus those close range teams. Now, this is obviously easier said than done, but understanding your positioning is going to help a lot. Regardless of team comp, a pretty common strat is to have at least 1 person scouting, which involves playing high ground and feeding back information to your teammates. This is key when trying to avoid third parties. There is no perfect location to hold as a team that works for everyone and for every playstyle, but just try to use logic when deciding a spot to defend from. For each phase of the Cashout, we should apply different logic. To keep this simple, we will split into first and second half. The first half of the Cashout, we can play more passively. Staying alive is more important than stalling here. Using our gateways selfishly for an escape, grabbing our teammates' statues to reset, taking our time to get kills rather than panicking the moment we hear the Cashout buzzing. Oftentimes, the enemy wants you to funnel in, so if you intend to stop a steal, do it intelligently and do it with your team. Take your time and don't panic and die early. Letting enemies steal the Cashout is perfectly fine if we are aiming to gain an advantage for the fight. Maybe reviving for that extra 2 seconds in order to push a fight as a 3v3 versus just aping a 3-man team as a duo probably is going to be the smarter decision here. When it comes to defending the second part of a Cashout, we need to be playing closer. We should be trying to stall and placing gateways to get back to the point. That's going to be the ideal situation here. Having drop set up in order to stall, or whatever stall tactic that you have, make sure it is available, and try not to waste it early on enemies. Try to make sure that you do it on enemies that are actually stealing versus just ones that are chasing you, unless it is going to be really essential to you winning that point. Jump pads under the Cashout to stall. Whether it's a gravity vortex, a jump pad, whatever it may be, we should be aiming to stall here. But remember, halfway is 1 minute. So the closer we get to the end of these, this is going to be where it really is important to make sure that you save all those stalling gadgets for the end. Say, for example, if you have C4 on it, you might not want to pop it when there's 20 seconds left. You might want to wait till there's closer to about 10 seconds left, or when they're actually on the Cashout is when you might want to pop it. During this phase, we should look to try and use gadgets and specs to interrupt the enemies and their attempts. Glitch nades, frags, charge and slam, winches, RPGs, whatever it may be in your loadout, we should try to get the full utility usage out of it. If you're running in first as a light with all your gadgets still available, you are panicking too much and need to play smarter. These all apply to third parties as well. Far too often I see enemy teams who are defending in a panic. When the cash is just being stolen and they just run in and die, then a third party comes and cleans up, why not be the third party? If you know that there's another team there and you know that you have time, then play for that time. You can't defend a Cashout when you're dead. Is your team together defending in a room or on a rooftop scouting for enemy players? Are you kiting when you should be or taking fights when you aren't ready? Third parties can be complicated to handle, but following these rules should alleviate a lot of the struggles you might be having when you are trying to defend. Now let's take a look at some examples and let's break down what's going on. So in this example, we are running HML. We have the Cashout in a very advantageous spot because it is out in the open. We have a light with ARN, I am on AK, and then we have our heavy on Shack. Now this means that we have pretty good long range, so the first thing that we do is we set up our defenses. I set up my mines on point, and my teammate sets up their defensive stall with C4. I then move to crane, and I also coordinate with my light in order to hold different angles. So they are on the Trentilla main roof right now, and my heavy is actually coming up with me so that we can stick together and I can heal him. This way, no matter where they approach from, we have a pretty good height from them. And the only approach that they could take is either to isolate my light, which with the dash would be really easy for them to escape, or they try to jump pad on top of us. But as you can see here, they are really struggling. They can also try and take down crane or take the crane itself, but we can obviously escape and just keep kiting. We don't have to take the fight. So unless they want to take us out of our positioning, we can just continuously hold this. As you can see, they drop the crane. But instead of freaking out and just trying to ape this fight, I just play my life because I know that I can stall if I'm alive, and you can see my teammates all split up to make it a little bit harder for them to take the fight. Once I know my heavy is in the middle of the fight and he has the focus, this means that me and my light can simply just beam from afar and allow the heavy to take the brunt of the damage. You definitely want your heavy to be the front line. Next, we're going to look at another medium clip where this is basically third-party central. It is a double box, but we're going to be trying to defend this. And as you can see, we are obviously in first place, so we are guaranteed here, but we are still going to try and play our best for this point. And you'll see that when I notice my heavy is down, I instantly try to get this fib back, and I try to revive him in a safe position, not in the middle of where enemies might be going. And after this, we want to play around the edges of our Cashout, knowing that the fights that are going to be happening around, and specifically in the Cashout room, are going to be very chaotic, very vulnerable to third parties. We want to play around and look for enemies. As you can see here, I accidentally spot enemies, and my first instinct is to stay alive. As the medium, you want to always be alive. It is really bad if you as the medium die first. And I can notice that my heavy was taking a fight, so that is why I decided to peek out and help my teammates, because they were in a position where I could do so. We decided to finish our fight. As you can see, the Cashout is getting stolen, but we're not too worried. There are two teams who need it, and they are fighting over it, so this gives us time to finish our fight and come back, versus being in the middle where all these teams are, and they end up in positions where it's really easy for us to come in and clean up the fight. And as you see here, the entire lobby is wiped, and we were the team that was able to finish all of the players. Now let's look at a light positioning. Now here we have some high ground over the point, and in this case we have Sanguinites who plays the Dematerializer, so he kind of plays like another light, and since I have the healing infuser, that is why I'm actually sticking with my heavy. Normally it would be the medium and the heavy that stick together, but in this case, since I can heal him, I stick with him. I also have Vanish Bomb, which I can use on him. Now, the first thing we do is we look for the spawn after they spawn. The moment that we notice them, we can start playing a little bit aggressive. I use the Vanish Bomb so that I can get a scouting position here, and I can get this sneaky kill. Right after that, I retreat back to heal my heavy. It's really important that you let your heavy take the damage. Even if they die, that is kind of what their role is. They are the tank. Let them go in, and then you come in for the cleanup after. Now let's look at a dash bow playstyle where I end up getting the plug very early, but our medium is dead. The first thing I do is hit the gateway, and then I drop a sonar to watch him chase me. I know that I can get a pick here, so I allow him to chase into me, and then I have my gateway set up in order to defend. I hit that headshot, so I know I can get another follow-up, and then with the flamethrower, I can just play my distance. So the idea here is you set up your defenses, you kite in order to play your life, only turn around during kiting when you know you can get a kill, and then use your gadgets in order to stall the Cashout. Now in this clip, I want to explain why breach charge and having some sort of stall is so important. As you can see, they go for this steal. We have a pyromine and breach charge combo set up. This basically just instantly wipes the pink team here. And making sure that you at least have some form of C4, breach charge, gravity vortex, whatever it may be, stalling is extremely important. You don't want to give enemies opportunities to basically just win a cash out with just 6 or 7 seconds, depending on the round. Now in this clip, I actually want to show enemies utilizing the gateway in a very, very clever way using Charge and Slam. As you can see here, they just came through a gateway and just instantly slammed and deleted us. This was a very cool defensive setup, and what I really like about how they played this against us was that they had a backup plan. So as you can see here, our light actually glitches their gateway, so we think maybe we have this in the bag. I throw smoke, we throw a bunch of goo, and then we get set up to go for a steal, and I go for the body block. As you can see, they're still flying through the air because they had a jump pad set up that lands them right on the point. This was very impressive, and I really like how our enemies were able to set up a defense that basically had a backup plan from the original, which caught us off guard. Now, obviously, if we were to face them again, we would know how to counter their counter, but I thought this was a very fun clip to see. But don't worry, I did get a little bit of a redemption here. As you can see here, I'm able to kill all 3 of them. And there was also a follow-up for the final cash out that I would like to show you guys. There was a fight at the end that was also really intense and super fun.
We play in the apartment.
Yeah, they dropped. Close. He used RPG.
He also used double.
Light's too low.
Heavy's very low. Heavy's very low.
Light's also very low.
Heavy dead. Heavy dead.
Light's on me, on my floor.
Light's sold it.
Got light.
Mediums hit a little bit. Heavy got res.
They're chart there. They're healing.
Blocking it.
They're both one. Oh my god! Good shit, boys.
And now in this clip, I want to explain why it is really important to hold statues when you are defending a cash out. Obviously, you don't want to go too crazy and hold it really, really far away, but it can lead to getting isolated picks on the enemies, or at least funneling them into your defensive setups that might be off-site. It might seem a little bit odd to be so far from B here, but we're trying to fight this team that is the immediate threat, and we know that the other 2 teams are preoccupied. One is holding a cash out, and the other one, purple, is dead, so they're not a threat right now. After we get this first pick on orange, we simply hold the body. I decide to rotate under with a charge and slam, which they break the C4 and end up dropping here, and I'm in a fantastic position. Purple is respawning here, so we're going to want to get back to B, but being able to hold that body allowed us to get the wipe on orange a little bit quicker versus allowing them to get back up and potentially us having to deal with a third party here. Instead, we basically just get to fight purple for free. Now, unfortunately, our teammate does get picked off by the sniper here, but I'm in a pretty solid position where my teammate has now kited them into my line of sight, and I can just get some free beams. Now, another thing is when you're playing heavy, there is something known as reserved aggression, and this is about making sure that while you are being aggressive and you are in there being a tank, you're still reserving your life and trying to play for your life. It's not like I'm stupidly aping everything. I'm making sure that I am creating space for my teammates and making sure that I create an environment that makes it a lot easier for my teammates. So while I could just sit here and shoot that pink, since they're on me, I decide to kite. I see a heavy here, and I know I'm probably not going to just win the fight straight up, but my teammates are right there to heal and beam any targets. So as you can see, I look around, see where they are, and I make sure to try and fight from a position where my teammates can basically get back shots if I'm shooting them from up here, and they follow through very well, and I'm able to just get a bunch of free kills. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about is having some patience. Now, when you get aggressively pushed like this, as you can see, we all have less than half of our HP. It's important to make sure that you're playing the delay and being patient. You don't have to take this fight aggressively. I don't shoot right away. I wait until I have an opportunity to make sure I can guarantee a kill, and then I instantly try to get out and play my life. We've created a 2v2 scenario from something that looked like we were just going to die. I also create opening angles with my breach charge so that me and the heavy can play around this and play as safe as we can. Our medium is back in the fight here, so we can play a little bit more aggressive. All there is now is just this heavy, and I'm going to kite around and wait for my medium to be here so that they can help me. I use the gas grenade to prevent an area where they might be able to push through, and I just keep kiting and kiting around until my medium is there. And last, I want to show you what I was able to pull off in pro scrims where we were running double light medium versus DSM. This was honestly just a super goofy tactic. As you can see, I have breach charge, cloak, XP, and the gas grenade. A lot of things that just people straight up don't use. But I just want to kind of emphasize that you can really use whatever you want, and you can do it at the top pro play level, and just have fun with the game, and don't let people tell you that these stupid bad things are worthless and that you should never bring them. They might be bad, but maybe you can prove them wrong. I'm hoping this guide helps you guys a lot with defending cashouts. There's only so much we can do as solo players, but try to play around your team. Don't complain that they aren't doing what you need them to do. Adapt and play around them the best that you can while applying the logic from this video. A really easy way to defend more cashouts and win more games is to subscribe, because my content is OP, trust me. Check me out live on Twitch if you want to come and chat and ask any question. I try to stream daily. Become a member on YouTube to support what I do here. Definitely check out the Finals University. There'll be a Discord link in the description below. Now, after plugging, setting up your defenses, win more cashouts, and I will see you in the finals.
I was just chilling, bro. That was my rest.
Genuinely, I do not know. Let's play below again. Let's play below.
Do you want to keep it inside?
No, yeah. We'll just play below.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I got D-mat. So, okay.
Vacated. Invis vanished bomb.
You have C4 on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you also
I'm gonna
have
play
DMAT.
two below.
Yeah.
Two below.
Oh no, Arco found me. Arco found me in the fucking corner. I don't have anything left.
I got it.
You jump pad up. You get a stall throw?
I got it. The medium.
It's on you, Oppo! Medium
Light
low!
stealing, light stealing.
My god, bro. He's got the clip. He's got the clip. He's got the clip.
Nice.
Yes.